Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Alistair. I hope everyone's feeling good, and we're here on Headspace doing a breakdown of Miss Marvel Episode 1, Generation Y. In this episode, you get to experience the concept of home and Kamala's not just house, but Kamala's school, Kamala's life, and definitely her feelings. But more like everyone's feelings juxtaposed against hers. Because she's really very placid and not in a plain way. Like very serene, but not what you would say afterwards, and not lofty. And it's very like old world, but only so far as like there's like this little section of life where everyone's like about like this, but she like took this and moved the slider all the way over, and she's like still taking it with her. But everyone around her is like trying to get her going on something, almost like by smell even. But definitely as you see one character, like they don't have anything for her, so there's like doing them like a little too grand. Everyone drinks from each other's cup in this community, and she hasn't been like needing it. So like every interaction, there's like sitting there like running themselves dry. Unless you're Bruno. Bruno has it pretty well installed in himself to like be around Kamala. I know this isn't very as cheery as you'd want it to be, but there are like moments coming up to where I know I could at least explain it away or make those really boring, because like they really like hit you, and even as it goes along, you're like preparing yourself, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go see this person or watch this other thing afterwards. Like, hopefully, like I could cheer myself up. And again, like slingshotting back to the beginning of the conversation, like doing like things that we've all did like in a little section of life to get somewhere through it, instead of just like glazing over it and like not paying attention to like the cold hard facts. I was watching it and I was like, oh, like it's very surreal for Kamala, but then I was like, no, it's very surreal for everyone to see Kamala. Like to the everyone else, she's like overly normal and overly like ordinary. Just like she's like in the hallway, she's like, hey kid, like I can't peg you for like any like personal problem at all. Like I know you gotta let me figure it out. Like I know you're like but she's like almost too well equipped, and she's just like doing these pantomimes. Like if she like took it up anymore, it would be like almost like mocking. And I don't mean like start laughing, but it's like, oh yeah, like I've got my own problems, but or my own like benefits that don't fit with others. She's just like, I know this is like what you're supposed to do here, like come on. And it's like super ironic how everyone's like, hey, like pay attention. Like I mean, if you even like compare her to her associations, like guilty by association, Bruno's like hecka smart. Like it's a practical like smart too. Not even like oh yeah, like I do grades good, but sometimes like it's like one or the other. So he's looks like he's doing both. Like we got it down. Like I'm trying to take my time. I'm trying to figure out this Discovery Channel thing, like right here, like out in the hallway. Like, I'm hoping it's like just something each of the actors brought to the characters. Even they can't just be like one generation of smart person, and then it's just like gone for like one or two. Then like you got another smart person back in your family. But just in general, like that's just me. I think that's really what like everyone's like digging on her for, but what they could say is that she's a smart kid. I'm sure it will happen like in the second season, but at this point, they literally couldn't. Even just as like a gossip standpoint, you wouldn't be able to just like go on to like even bother to say anything to anybody. At least her family in general, like if they didn't do what they were doing, it would just be like plain old silent. Like, but at least it would be like a good, like settled silence. But that brings us around to the first scene, and well, which I thought like it was like still kind of credits, but then like it kept going. It's pretty cool. Like it looks like they're like doing like a bunch of techniques for like this in general. Like I'm sure you'd have to like learn like those first like stop motion things. It would probably be like if you're like trying to teach your kid about what's happening and you give them like that little flip book when like gets the action going and show them like a little tape of film. It's very like like they almost like did it to like where they couldn't like complain about what things look like, and I like it, and it feels like that serene attitude's like shining through. A little bit of the forward attitude that has to be developed when there's like other people around. Well, other types of people, and not even like how they look, but that's something that happens too. It's really good. It's great. Like it's really not supposed to be paused. Like there's some moments like where later you can just like, oh okay, this will be for the promotional, or there's always those Easter egg breakdowns, but it's like I'm sure they would want us to first appreciate the fact that whatever popped out at you, like looking for your friend in the crowd, and then like instead you just like made another friend while it was paused. That's how some people used to make friends like a long time ago. Like it's like, oh, you like this statue? Like hell yeah. Like I'm not gonna tell you I made it, but I'm gonna keep tabs on you. Maybe like you'll be in other places like appreciating my stuff. Like maybe I'll claim like this like dish like I suggested at this restaurant. But I don't know if you like really are about that life. But in this example, it's like a little like, oh, it's that plushie. Even if it's just like, oh, like I bought that same one. Like we're best friends now. That's kind of what I mean by like old world like style. You went off like so little, and like you were great friends with a lot of people. And if you're about it, like circumstance will take them, and then circumstance will bring them back. But enough of me being trying to be wise. I'm sure that's like another lesson they can like put in there if you're like mentally trying to follow along with the comics. There's a lot of like not Easter eggs, but it's like this one person's like doodle, or like this one person's like, yeah, like they went off on it while like just like sitting like, oh okay. Like there, like just to compare, there'd be like 50 different like thumbnails. Like, oh okay, like I couldn't pick, and we even had like a contest, but we're just all gonna put ours in there. This would be the coolest school project ever, especially if they voted. But anyway, you see the household dynamics. It's pretty cool. and then something for her as a teenager, and she beefs the test. She like, I don't know if like they were gonna like let her drive, but she did not do so well there. And like, how early is it? Like, they're like doing all this stuff. Maybe like the city kids like have a different start time. But then it shows the all the other kids in contrast of her. I know he's kind of rude, but I'm starting to like the coach characters or the gym teacher characters in the Marvel world. There's like Hannibal Buress, and like now it's the guy that can't say your name right. It just kind of feels like a piece of home following the character. It's like witches, man. We get to see Bruno, we get to see Zoe, we get to see Nakia. I didn't mean to mention her last. I'm sure she gets mentioned as a person first all the time. It's gotta be one of those things. I'll just like boldly say that. And then they start talking about the Avenger Con. Let's see if I get the emphasis right. The very first Avenger Con. And they're discussing their plans and cosplays and why they should go and how they want to take the cake for the cosplay competition for specifically Captain Marvel. And she gets the school counselor call her up, Mr. Wilson. But you know, his name's Gabe, but his dad's also named Gabe, so that super doesn't work. I hope he's like the main person we see for representing the school in Kamala's eyes, or at least the audience eyes. The Mr. Wilson with the genie sized like hoops there. I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a take where it's like, I studied abroad. Like I think I could like empathize. It makes me like wonder how many or what they were doing for each scene. But if I keep talking about it, like I'll probably like try to like do that with every scene. Like they probably had an option to freestyle this one and go off script. They could have just been like, all right, like what kind of conversations do you have that you're still thinking about that we can like put in this? Like, I want this to be for you too. And then we get into like the director's prompt, or if there was any, or but this scene seems pretty fun. Even though it kind of seems like to me it's like, oh yeah, like that's what I thought happened, but you're like, oh okay, well she made eye contact and she's like, oh, I wonder what time it was, and he's like, hey, like what the heck? Like this whole like first 15-20 minutes is like a lot of people like mistaking like what she's doing with her face almost. And then maybe she like doesn't realize is like everyone keeps their attention on Mr. Wilson whenever he's talking. Like I don't know how she's just like turning her head, and like if like two other people were to like analyze their like moment together, and then you could really see like it's like, oh, like this, it's always like this for me, but like she's like they're like mistaking her for like being a delinquent a little bit, because it's not what always happens, and for probably for however long it was always like this. And then Kamala comes in with her serene ability, apparently. I'm sure that's her second superpower, like mixing it up for people, but after everything so on the norm for so long, I don't think they would like it all too much. But moving on, and they have 100% always like the most beautiful, shiny looking street transitions, making the city look like super like clean and like active. It seems like a big thing to do, so I appreciate that they went through the trouble to do all that. We get to see the cosplay jacket and the Circle Q. They don't really like explain the Circle Q that much, but I'm glad it's in there. Really, this is a scene for Bruno, but he's doing something for Kamala, and he's like airbrushing the little jacket. You can really tell Bruno like has like all this like alone time, and it's not like miserable or anything, but it is more available than like doing stuff with people. So it looks like he occasionally like does stuff for someone. A pretty big project, but it's already like a lot more than like other people would do for them doing something for someone, if that makes sense. Like Bruno's like, oh, let me do something nice for you, and he builds Zuzu. But then like I don't know if Kamala or Bruno realizes like if anyone else's would be like, oh, I'll buy you a candy bar. They have over and underestimated like what's going on a little bit. Just like dropping them in like the very unique like normal kid stuff or teenager stuff. It's like, oh yeah, this is like what everyone else is struggling with, right? Like, just like I don't quite get it. Oh, maybe I'll hit him with the smile again. It's like at least I don't have to do that around Kamala. But everyone does that really, like especially if they're like trying to like participate in like a social circle. It's just like the one thing they have to like spend like a lot of time thinking about, it looks like. At least like in like a lot of the places like for other people where they're just kind of like doing stuff. But it's considerate enough, but like they could probably like, oh, like they're trying to tell us to be like careful, like what's going on here? Or pay attention, whatever. It's like, watch me do this natural ability for no second thought to happen, but I want to like put words to it later so I can like at least teach it to someone, if not like have that internal monologue myself. But these two are not letting this happen. So it's already like, oh yeah, I guess we're the underdogs. Like that's where they put us. It doesn't seem like they have to deal with like what could be like really negative high school experience stuff. And it looks like we go along to a day in the life with Kamala's mom. And it looks like a little bit of what I was talking about with the Easter egg and like another lady that Kamala's mom knows, like just kind of runs into him and they start like gossiping. And she's like with her, and like before she like, oh yeah, like that's fine. But then like the lady's like, no, she's short for that. It's like, and even though she was like just a second ago, was like, oh yeah, looks like you're too short for that. But there's like no ounce of feelings of betrayal there. It's just like, what? She straight up just doesn't understand like what's going on. Like almost like that lady was like, oh, like I'm gonna go around like spreading what I just saw of this person, and she just like perfectly has it down. So she's like, oh no, like she's run off to Europe and she's like dating some guy now, like, but she gonna be single forever. She's just like, what? It's like, all right, well, whatever. And then because she's like not participating, her mom kind of like roast her a little bit. He's like, yeah, you should have jumped in on this. Like, you get some, like, break you off a piece here. Like, you don't get it? Come on. Like, while she's like being genuine to like herself and like her values. Then we get to Kamala trying to propose the idea to her parents about going to Avengers Con. I mean, I appreciate the traditionalism because, like, kind of like occasionally I see like people like doing like whatever with their kids or like too much, but that was only like when like I was a teenager myself. They're trying to do it very like on the book to like what they did, so Kamala's more like them, maybe not even like her culture. They say no, but eventually, Amir talks the parents into letting her go. But in between all that, there's like these like amazing like internal monologue stuff, or like it kind of like animatedly shows what they're thinking. It's like, oh man, that's cool. Not like think like that, but like put that into like a video somewhere. But I politely didn't try to analyze it and like pick it apart. Kamala's parents finally come to her with her conditions, but she could go. It was like all very considerate and like workable, probably. But then like he's like, Little Hulk. Wait. That's not even. That's not even a girl. Like I was thinking, at least. Like you want me to be a man? Like I was already like in her shoes at that point. And it looks like the very big, like, dang, you disappointed your parents. But, like, to explain it away, like, they're, like, only disappointed, like, right here. Like, it's like, dude, I failed that driving test. And you, like, felt less about it. But, like, this is, like, something I want. It's not even, like, something that like, will, like, inconvenience you at all. But I guess like her like stepping out like a little bit of being who she is for her parents will probably be like would be like already like a distance already between her and them to completely take their side on that for a few minutes. It's like, but then you'll go off and like we're not gonna be tight anymore. Like, but like that TV scenes, like with Felicity, I think was on TV. It's like, you already noticed like there's like little things like I'm just like kind of like doing for you, like to like go back to Kamala's side. It's like, come on, guys. Like, what? Why wouldn't I just be like Captain Marvel for like a few hours and come back and be your daughter? But like, I guess like they still think that she can't really stay on brand very well. But since it's TV, I'm glad they like won't like break the little limit there. Well, Disney really, but because it's like bordering like a little bit of like soap opera. And if you didn't know, like most of the other countries like stuff is like the popular stuff is like soap opera stuff. Like I know like you see some brown people here and think Bollywood, but like that's why people like Bollywood or like intense drama. I don't know why or who or what, but I'm not even gonna like go over there. But like let's leave that like thread of a thought alone. I think the second one would be like action movies, but like that's like a big chunk. It's like one, but it's like many caveats to the soap opera genre, and then like action movies. But anyway, but then like what I was gonna do to get over that scene, Bruno calls her over to hook her up with the rest of her cosplay to make it light up. It's like, heck yeah, Bruno came in like pretty clean for that one. Didn't even have to try. Like, mucho support. Much support. Bruno is strength. And then Kamala starts epically planning. Like, vividly planning, bordering a little bit on fantasizing, but it's pretty cool. I was just like, heck yeah, she would have been a fun friend. And then it looks like we close out like the exposition or like the introduction of her culture by finally saying she's Pakistani. The episode structure on this looks like a clear like, oh, build up and then the real show, jazz hands. Because now we finally get to the bangle. There's like the dark attic, the mysterious rain, the thunder and lightning. She has the whole like Nancy Drew or something. Just a small little shout out there. This is definitely the formula for like young people mysteries. Getting there is not ideal, but they lurch into AvengerCon. It looks like a little mini Stark Expo, just because of the dark lighting, in my opinion, and what I could only hope as like one of a kind merch or like products that were almost to be sold to the public. I'm a little surprised that they like know about Drax or like know how to cosplay as him, because he was like there and then he was like gone. It's just like this little nitpick. It's like they didn't see the battle, did they? Like I would imagine he's like left on the Milano. It's just like one of those moments like if it was like really the world where they're like real and it happened and it's like historical and stuff in history books. Like someone's got like an awesome memory or something. Like I could do this all day. Did like Captain America like sit down and like debrief his whole life to someone or something? Like it's fine. It's good. Like right now. And then what I could only guess is Aunt Tony giving out popcorn. Maybe it was Antonio. I know we're supposed to be like upset with Zoe, but like I really like her Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, like OG suit. Like I guess like that part of the comics, at least, or even like that part from the X-Men animated series, like didn't happen. Where it's the mostly black and yellow and red Captain Marvel or Miss Marvel suit. And then we get to the bangle. The costume contest is about to start, and she's trying so hard to get the bangle on, and then she gets it, and all of a sudden, like, clicks into place and expands. I assume she gets like this, like, sinking feeling or like lightheaded or something, but she starts lighting up. I guess maybe just showing how it feels on her, because I guess Bruno didn't see. And then she's like connected to the ancestors or her ancestors or these shadowy figures. Bruno gets her out, and then she's getting bombarded by the cameras. And then she lets out a light platform and starts waving around. For moments, people are like, "Oh, maybe like it was the flashes," and like it's because of the flashes. And first thing that happened after that, or the energy was absorbed light. And there were many speculations about her powers, but I feel like it's still having to do with like elasticity, maybe flexibility. And since it's like a energy thing, I guess it could be like that little. There's a study about this little part in a atom where there's like a little box, but like they can't really like see what's in the middle of the nucleus of the atom. I'm thinking that like whatever it is has the field or the energy to keep the the tract of the electrons going in the way they do, but doing some stuff, and they managed to take the electron off, but the little tract of the orbit of the bond, or not the bond, the orbit of the electron still there around the nucleus, and it's like this kind of cool theoretical thing. But it looks like Kamala is using the electron that came off for like solid like energy, like malleability. It's pretty cool. Like, if you were to read it, like it almost like doesn't. They have it in their jargon, so it's like all different sounding. But if you can imagine it, this is like about like this. It makes me wonder if like the animation was inspired because of that. They still didn't get to the little box inside the nucleus, or like the little space, but that part's pretty cool. Here, powers seem like a lot of things, like from a few different subjects. The research or periodicals or whatever aside, her powers manifest and it's just chaos, like as per. She managed to damage the Ant-Man, like, or Giant Man statue thing and knocks the head off. Starts this whole, like, domino effect. It rolls across the convention, and then Zoe tries to, like, talk to her. She's, like, impressed and stuff. But the chain of events by Ant-Man head gets the Mjolnir in the rafter somewhere to break the tension wire it's on and like start swinging towards Zoe and Kamala, but Zoe doesn't get out of the way in time. But luckily, Kamala saves her. And everyone breaks out and screaming and whatnot, but she is just like focused on the fact that she's got powers. She gets home and she gets in trouble, but she's more focused on the fact that she just did that. But man, like I almost thought her mom was like, I wish you'd just be like normal. Like, oh, okay, well, looks like we know what she went through with her parents. It almost seemed like she would like said like a bad word, but it was like she would just said normal. I'm just like, oh dang. But yeah, that's it. She like examines her hand, like almost like the realness of it, and it's like glowing and stuff. It looks pretty cool. Like I watch it on TV, and then I watched it on my laptop. But on my laptop, you could see like little like purple veins, and like her hands kind of supposed to be see through. It's it's really detailed, and it's like not like it's not like spotty at all. Then they have the credits roll with like all this like original art and like all like the cool like Miss Marvel like comic book panels displayed in like the most awesome way ever. Like there is so much original art happening on here. I think my favorite one is like the one where Miss Marvel kind of looks like Singularity. Like that'd be cool if like that happens. Like she like comes out of her or something. But yeah, after the credits, there's like some suits like at their office or something, and like, it's like, oh well, looks like we gotta bring in Miss Marvel. I'm just surprised that they're not like, holy cow, like superpowers, like. But that's all I had for you. We're doing the Miss Marvel episode rewatch every other week. So like and subscribe. Leave a comment what you think's gonna happen for season 2. And thanks for joining me on Headspace. I guess it's really more like my headspace. What did you think about that singularity? I just now realized that on the spot. But hey, you look good, and it shows.